In this episode of Clarity Digital Pod, I had the opportunity to sit down with Aitana Arias, an international marketing strategist with many years of experience, including the past 5 years focused solely on B2B. Originally from Spain and currently living the digital nomad life in Southeast Asia, Aitana has built a career helping early stage startups and scale-ups in tech go to market across borders. All right, let's go. Welcome to another episode of Clarity Digital Podcast. Today I have a special guest, an international marketing expert, probably going to butcher the name, Arias from Spain, right? Ah,
Yes, yeah,
awesome.
from
Welcome,
Spain.
Aitana. I appreciate your time here. If you don't mind introducing yourself for our audience, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me and for this opportunity. I have been following the channel and all the interviews that you have. So yeah, very happy to be here and to provide a bit of my insights and what I have done in the past. Yes, actually I have been in around 13, 14 years in marketing. And I started from B2C, then for the past 5 years, I have been in B2B. That's where my main focus is right now. But I mainly specialize in helping mainly early stage startups and scale ups
Mhm.
in tech environments. And yeah, mainly it's international level, of course. Like I'm from Spain, but I lived all over the world. I'm a digital nomad myself. International aspect is very crucial for me when even if I have to work for European companies that want to target US market, or now I'm a digital nomad. I'm based in Malaysia, but I'm also traveling all around Southeast Asia. So I also have to get to know how's the market here, some of the companies that are here, but also like that they target European markets. So I think that the buyer persona is the first thing that has to come to mind when you want to be working with different markets.
Let's talk about the buyer persona because that's very interesting. I have worked with international, we haven't had any recent international clients for our agency, but I worked with international companies in the past previous jobs.
Mhm.
Also, I have worked with a lot of international marketers, and I think because of the buying experience, the consumer experience is different. Sometimes you have a very good marketer, let's say Google Ads expert or Meta Ads or Facebook Ads expert, who does really well in his or her own country, but in US not so much in terms of marketing strategy and execution. So I think that's probably because of the differences of not only cultural differences but also buying.
Purchasing habits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk about
exactly.
that a little bit. Let's talk about the difference of an approach of identifying a buyer persona at an international level. You cannot just take your international, like, let's say if you're US and you want to branch out to Europe, you cannot just
Yeah.
take this buyer persona to Europe. There's going to be different because people in Europe live differently. There's going to be different things, right? Different buying behaviors and trends and personas. So let's just jump into that if you can talk about that a little bit.
Sure, yes. So for let's start with the buyer persona itself. I know that probably everyone has done buyer persona exercise at some point, but I would say that when you're working on on the pain points, for me, what I saw is that the pain points are global. This is like for everyone. Everyone has problems with with a
Tariffs, for example,
certain,
right? Yeah.
yeah, or price is too high, or everyone wants to have this to work more efficiently or more agile or etc. But the priorities differ from market to market. What I mean by priorities is when we're seeing this efficiency, or when or why we want this is what differs from market to market, but pain points are the same. This for me is the most important when like when thinking international. And also you have to start local, of course. Like you have to do this exercise first in a market that you know the most, and then when you do the GTM, go to market strategy, and you go to another market that you don't know at all, then it's when you say, okay, I have to start somewhere. You have to use that buyer persona. But as you were saying, start thinking about what are the channels, how are they buying, is the journey, the customer journey, the same? How is the buying process? Do they need more clicks to reach the same landing page, or yeah, maybe they don't use Facebook at all.
Yeah.
In some markets, we know that Facebook is not only for boomers. Like in Europe, Facebook right now, my generation, we are not using it at all. But in some other markets, it's for everyone.
Yeah.
So we have to have channels and how they buy, and then these pain points, these priorities. For me, those are the main three things I would say.
That's amazing. I'm glad you said that. I appreciate it. And you brought up Facebook. I've noticed Facebook challenging LinkedIn a little bit on the B2B part.
Yeah.
I we work just like you, we work with a lot of B2B companies and they're like, "Oh, we're going to advertise on LinkedIn." I'm like, "Yeah, that's obviously that's given because it's a B2B platform." But believe it or not, Facebook is because they have a lot of data, probably a lot more than LinkedIn. And people do say where they work on Facebook. On my profile, I'm like, I'm a CEO of Clarity Digital. So a lot of people do say that. And they have the Facebook Messenger installed on their phones and that listens to you. And so Facebook has a lot more B2B data than you think. And our data shows that for some B2B products, especially the ones that have free trials and things like that, Facebook is actually a pretty good place to advertise.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to tell another B2B clients is that for example, this tool that we're using right now, Restream, I learned about it on Facebook, a Facebook ad. I didn't get this on LinkedIn. I was looking for a streaming tool and I saw an ad there. So because I was talking to someone about it and the Facebook Messenger probably listened to me and then targeted me. And that's why I think Facebook is not just a B2C platform, it's a B2B. And that's what you want to, but you have to buy a persona. You don't want to go after your grandma. You want to go after a business owner or business executive. But let's talk about the cultural differences. I have friends and relatives that live in Europe, in France. And every time I log into my Instagram, they're on vacation. And I'm like, okay, guys, you guys like how many vacations do you take? Literally, one of them says about 2 months out of the year. Here in the US, if you're lucky, 2 weeks. And you can even take 2 weeks back to back. You take a few days here, a few days there. Last time I took a 2 week vacation when I was working somebody else and I came back, I got laid off. Like companies in US here, depending which company you work for, some of them were really good. But the smaller companies, especially since we're talking about startups, are less likely to approve you for a 3 weeks vacation, paid vacation. So I would assume when you're targeting someone in US, it's different because in France you don't know if you should run your ads in summertime because they're probably on summer vacation.
Yeah. Now for Europe, like from June until let's say beginning of September, forget about work.
Yeah.
Everyone is like out and about, and yeah, you have to place different ads as well. Like
Yeah.
maybe people are already on vacation, or maybe they prefer ads that are like easy to buy
Yeah.
from everywhere, from their phones.
Yeah.
So
Or more of a
it's
brand
another
ads
time.
they can stay in top of their head. So when they come
Exactly.
back,
And then
yeah.
when they're back, when
Mhm.
they're back to reality, then that's when they will be making the purchase. But you have to start, like slowly start entering their minds when they are more relaxed.
Cool. All right. So what is a de facto? What is some of the must-have things of a buyer personality?
Yeah. So in terms of buyer persona itself, this is one of the things that I lately have been working in different companies, different projects, and different type of also startups, but also a different type of environments. But what I saw that is crucial is to start to do this exercise, but to think that you have to create buyer personas that are not vanity profiles. Let's get real. I don't want to know about demographics or the age or where they live. Now we all live everywhere. So you have to know by interviewing them, you have to get how they speak. What are the keywords that how they describe our product, or if the product it doesn't exist yet because you are testing, you don't have anything yet in the market. You have to get the grasp of what are their pain points and how they are speaking about that,
Yeah.
and what channels they use, that's of course. And once you have that, these are just like some of the main things you have to get. But the most important for me, which in previous occasions I saw that it was not being done, and that's the big fact
Mhm.
when doing buyer personas, is that you have to do this exercise not only from marketing. You have to get the perspective from how they speak, what's the feedback, not only from marketing. You have to get sales involved, you have to get product involved, you have to get customer service involved. Those are the main ones, because those
Yeah.
are the ones that will be speaking to the customer. So of course marketing we know based on assumptions,
Yeah.
but we have to get real. We have to go to test it first, get all this information, like not just the demographics, the real information, and just speak to them. What I did, and what it really worked for me, it was set up interviews with them, like a
Mhm.
10-minute, 15-minute, you don't need more, and pick up just random profiles, because of course you don't want to have the same type of profile. Just pick random people that you know that they can speak to you, because of course you need to get the feedback easily. So just do 10, 20 as much as you can. Of course, don't do this as a very long process. It has to be quite easy, still with a lean mindset. Do it quite easy, straight to the point, get the information, and then evaluate with marketing, with sales all together.
Yeah.
Once you have that, then is when you have, and then this again another very important point that sometimes marketers we don't do, that's to update it every 6 to 9 months, I would say. So do this. You don't have to do the full process, but just speak to 2 or 3 new customers. Why have you decided now to buy? So don't ask them personal questions, but more about their purchasing habits, or why they have done it now, not before, or why have why have you chosen this specific product and not that one. This will tell you more information than just asking them, where do you live, how do you buy it, and we need to go an extra mile. So that process for me is those are the 2 main steps. And then yes, when you are asking those questions, really focus on pain triggers, the keywords and how they speak, because all these, after you will be translating it to your core message. So you need to ask all this relevant information for you to, after, to put it in, what I do is just to put it in an Excel file, then do all your comparisons with ChatGPT or with any AI tool that you use. But yeah, after all that data, you need to get all this information to convert it in that sentence, in that slogan, in that text that goes in the header of your website. So this is the most important step before you start anything, before you start a campaign. Or, and also to highlight is that of course you can be a startup and maybe you have already started to create some messaging here and there. That's good. You have to start somewhere. Don't spend too much time doing the buyer persona at the beginning, because you're not going to launch the product. So
Sure.
launch the product, go there, test the product itself with the buyer persona and the customers, and then do this exercise. This exercise can be done at any time. I have done this exercise in startups that are just getting started. They
Mhm.
just testing the product. Some startups that have been around for 1 2 years, and then some other companies that have been 15 years, but they still have, maybe they have been, now they are in another type of scenario. Maybe they have been bought by a company and then they have this startup mood again. So yeah, it can be done anytime, and but it has to be done every few months just to refresh.
Sure. That's good. I'm glad you brought up a couple different things. Number one, talk to your customers. I think a lot of marketers don't do that. We over rely on tools. Like I got into marketing using SEO and SEM. So we have all these keyword research tools and topic research tools, and we go after keywords and key phrases that get a lot of search volume. But Yeah, that's good, but that's more of generic. You want to see what resonates most with your clients
Exactly.
and customers. So talk to them first. And the second thing you brought up, how you use AI, ChatGPT to sort things out. We actually do something similar with one of our clients. This is actually B2C client, but they're a law firm, and we run their paid campaigns. We also do SEO for them, and but we do have call tracking. We don't have chance. There's no way we can call the customers. It's just too much work. They get a lot of calls. But we do using. There's two ways they communicate with the client, either through the online forms, which is about 25% of the communication, and then 75% is using phone. We have call tracking, and call tracking transcribes the conversation. Again, I don't listen to every call, but we export the transcriptions into ChatGPT, and now I learned another tool that does even better than ChatGPT AI tool. We go through it, see to identify the pain points, and that's something we do. And that tool is Julius.ai. It's actually like ChatGPT but just for data. So if you want to try it out, but I'm really glad you brought it up because that's really our campaigns got so much better when we started doing that as opposed to going to
Right?
yeah,
Focusing on
how they speak, what is
yeah.
the pain point. What we learned is that like people get in car accidents and they have different, it's not always what we thought it was going to be. We there's different concerns. Some people got injured, some people didn't get injured, but the guy that got in a car accident left and didn't give him their insurance. So what do we do now? How do we, but we know the guy, how do we, can we sue the guy? So when you learn that, then you can change your messaging, you can change your campaign, you can change your ads to resonate
Okay.
for that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought it up. And so, okay, you brought up chat. Let's talk about some tools. You brought up Chat GPT. What other tools you use to streamline this buyer persona? Um,
Similar tools, like
mhm.
I don't overcomplicate it, to be
Yeah,
honest. I just want to keep things simple. For me, when I do this exercise, I use AI mostly to put everything in order and to summarize different conversations I had, like
yeah,
transcripts, highlight, for me to really highlight and what they have in common.
yeah,
What's the tone? Tell me like 4 or 5 most repeated keywords. So
mhm,
it's more to analyze.
yeah.
I don't need an AI that does magic. Like that's
Sure.
something very
You keep it
simple.
simple, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So for me, it's just to put all this data highlighting. And then when you have those highlights,
Hmm.
then is when you start to create the message.
Yeah.
Then it's okay, from those keywords, from that tone, and from those benefits, that's what they are looking for. And the why, let's start with the why from the golden circle. Not sure if we are all aware with the golden circle. Let's start with the why, then the when, then the how. So start with that, that those conversations will give you all that.
Yeah.
And then you start to create different sentences. So of course, I use AI to help me to create those sentences, but again, just as a starter, because you will get a lot of different ones,
Sure.
because you have a lot of transcripts, you have a lot of keywords. So at some point it becomes too much.
Sure.
So I just use it for as a starter, let's say,
Yeah.
to create that sentence that you're gonna repeat and adapt to different channels. So I use that sentence, and then after that sentence and the main text, that's what I will be validating with the teams, with sales, with product, with customer service.
Yeah.
And then is from that AI work that it has done, that AI has done for you, you still have to make it more human. You have to make it more down to earth and with everyone's input. Yeah, like you need that first process, that first bulk word, but then after, yeah, it needs some human touch
Yeah.
at the
100%. Yeah. AI alone, definitely. And
end.
I think a lot of people over rely on the AI, especially at this stage of the game. I think AI is a really good tool. It's a really good automation tool. Like everything you just said right now, you could do it in Excel, right? Tables,
Yeah.
stuff like that, but will take you a long time, right? Which you can do it in AI. But you still need to be in control. You still need to look for what you need to be looked for. You don't want to over
Yeah.
rely on AI. And you said something interesting. You got to follow the top the best. You have to choose your battles, right? You can't do everything. The 80-20 rule, just do 20% of the work with 80% with 80% of the work with 20, whatever that is, right?
20, yeah.
Yeah. You brought up another thing that I think is really important is getting product involved, getting sales involved, getting customer success involved. And that's a pretty hard thing to do as an outside consultant. I find that to be very challenging. I've always been told stay in my
Mm,
own lane. I literally say, I'm like, but no, I need to talk to your sales guy. I need to talk to
yeah.
your. You hired me as a like a fractional CMO or agency. I need to figure
Mhm.
things out. And when we were working with another client, we had good amount of MQLs coming in, but they were not translated into opportunity because the way it worked is that we would get leads, and then we would nurture them, and then it would become MQLs, and then MQLs were ready for a demo,
For them,
and then
yeah.
they would never turn into opportunity. And I just had to figure it out. So after working with a product person, I realized, I'm like, oh my god, your product sucks, literally. It was very functional, very
Mm.
powerful, but the software was created by programmers. There was no UI,
Marketing
UX. There
involved,
was no
or yeah.
marketing or branding or UI. So I literally, I told the founder of this startup, I'm like, look, until you fix that, you're not going to be able to
You
close.
cannot
Because
market.
yeah, because your clients are Gen X, people like me, and millennials, and
Mm.
and we are not exactly like Gen Zs, but we do appreciate a good UI. I grew up where people used to use those applications in Visual Basic or whatever, and it was just ugly. And when the cloud-based stuff came out, it was very refreshing to our eyes. It's very easy to follow. And I'm like, you guys didn't do that. You just started. You focused too much on the back end, which is great, very powerful. It was a banking software, so it was very powerful, very secure, all that stuff. But your front end sucks. And I literally said
Yeah,
that to the CTO, who was also a friend. And I'm like, look, you should not stop marketing. You should continue marketing, but maybe allocate some of the budget into immediately improving the UI of your product, because
yeah.
this is exactly why our MQLs, people are getting
It's
MQLs.
too
They
much
get,
focus, yeah, in tech.
it's too techy and not enough usability. And that's a mistake a lot of B2B companies make. They think that stuff, at the end of the day, you're marketing to humans, whether it's a professional or personal product.
Yeah, yeah,
There's the rules of marketing, the piece of marketing, the psychology of marketing. Having a good looking, attractive product is very important. And I've seen it
yeah,
firsthand that even a lot of B2B companies, they neglect even their own website. I'm like, no, your website is where it starts. You got to tell a story. You got to have demos and short videos and stuff like that. So I'm glad you brought it up. Cool. So, what is your tip in bringing everybody together as an outside
everything
consultant?
together.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it's not easy. It's
yeah,
not easy, but you have to make it happen somehow, because that's the most important part. You cannot do A without this B. So for me, I will have two different steps. So the first one, before you start with the process, get everyone sitting together digitally, physically, say, look, guys, we're going to be starting this project, but we need to have everyone on board. Maybe some people will be more leading towards like really helping a lot. You will see that from some departments more than others, because like in tech, they will be always busy with a lot of sprints, and but you
yeah,
have to get that half an hour every now and then. That's crucial.
yeah,
But first, before you do that, you have to convince the CEO
yeah,
or the founder,
yes,
whoever's on top, because they have to be the ones that are not only helping you to make this happen, but they have to prioritize this task,
yeah,
because this is not just a marketing activity. It helps all the different processes. Yes,
yeah,
it starts from marketing,
hmm,
but it will help even HR. Like
yeah,
it will help all the departments. So yeah, first step, convince your CEO, convince your founder, then get everyone involved, just for them to know, hey, this is going to happen. I will need your help, even if you are the CTO or if you want to appoint someone in your team. But we need like different mindsets here. Like we need the tech mindset, we need the marketing, we need customer service, whoever is in touch, because of course it depends on the type of product or service that you have. Maybe you don't need customer service, maybe you don't have customer service, so you don't need that department involved. But if you have customer service, that's always there.
Mhm.
Sales, of course, because they get a lot of feedback, and also they get a lot of feedback when that MQL that you were saying, what that MQL that doesn't go to demo, why, or why is transforming and when is transforming to an SQL. No, so we need to have all that information, and so this is yet the first step. But then once you have started from marketing, doing all the interviews, speaking to the customers, you can also get market research involved if you have that department, if the company is big enough. But yeah, what I spend most time is trying to convince them that this is
Yeah.
important. As
Yeah.
a as
Yeah.
even working for the company itself, even as an employee, or you
Yeah.
would say, like you were asking more as a consultant, is the same thing. You have to spend a lot of time convincing, making everyone has a lot of meetings. They think
Yeah.
it's not important. So that's where you will be
Yeah, they're
spending
really hard
more.
to get hold of, the founders. Like
Yeah.
we work with a couple of startups. One of them is a good friend of mine from back in college. And even he and I are friends, and he's hard to get hold of. Convincing him to change their ways sometimes quite a challenging, but you got to find ways around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where you will be spending most of the time. Once it's all marketing is working on the interviews and you are getting all the information, that's just marketing working on it. Then after you have compiled everything, you have done your summaries, your tables, everything pretty, then you need them again. Because then you need to validate that information. Hey, I got this pain point, but do you really, sales guy, can
Yeah.
you tell me if this is really a pain point? Do you see that? Because that's where I was told. But so then again, they are already convinced because that work was done before. But then is when you need to allocate more time. And you will see that in the end it's gonna be 3-4 people that are gonna be doing or giving you a lot of feedback. Some other people, you don't need them in that process towards the end. But like you will see that there's a lot of people that really know the product, really know the pain points. Maybe it's the founder. So
Yeah.
a lot of times I have been speaking more time, like I don't know how many hours and conversations that we had recorded online because the founder knew a lot.
Yeah.
Lafont knew because he was the one in charge with everything.
Yeah.
So those people are key. So even if it's the founder, even if it's the sales guy, whoever you have around you doing this exercise, take them and get them a lot of coffees and
Yeah. Just
try
either
to
friend
make the
find.
most.
I've noticed
Yes.
coffee works, pizza works, and then and happy hour work.
Yeah. Yeah. One beer. If you're close to them or nearby, then yeah, this is perfect.
I'm just making jokes, but I think
Mm.
I quit drinking right around COVID, and I just didn't want to do it. And I think I'm just making the joke. Business was better when I was drinking because I could actually go hang out with people, have a drink,
Yeah,
become their
yeah.
friend. And now I may be too serious, but yeah,
Mhm.
jokes aside, I think connecting people at a human level is what you're trying to say,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
You don't need 10, 15 people working on this. Just prioritize who can really make the space for you
yeah,
and who can really give you more value. Whoever
right.
you are, identify just as much as information as you
And
can.
that's universal, whether it's
Mm.
international, right? It doesn't really
Yeah, yeah,
matter whether
yes.
if it is
Yeah, yeah,
here,
yeah.
Spain, Malaysia, US.
Same
Cool.
thing. Same thing.
So I know I'm really trying to stay with the time here, and we're going over by a couple minutes. So I want to switch our topics, ask some personal questions, if you don't mind. Nothing too personal, just for our audience to know you better. Let's first talk. Let's get the business stuff out of the way. What do you do? Are you working for somebody else, or do you work for yourself, or how does that work?
Yeah, so at the moment, because of course it's always changing, but this current moment, so I'm 50-50. So
Yeah.
I'm a fractional CMO.
Hmm.
So I have some clients that I provide services as a fractional CMO. But then 50% of my time is as creating content like podcasts like this,
Yeah.
or I'm also creating an ebook, also giving master classes, and of course spending a lot of time researching for new projects or working on your website. That this we know that this always taking a lot of time for everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, for now I'm this 50-50, I would say, but trying, yeah, I think that trying to balance it out so you get everything that you get out of like all the ideas that you work on this, more the content preparation. That's what it will give you all the tools to implement when you work for your clients as a fractional CMO. But yeah, right now I'm divided between these two worlds. But previously I was working as an employee, as a marketing director slash CMO.
Cool. Good for you. Thank you for that. So let's now make it a little bit less professional, more
Yeah.
personal. When you're not being an awesome marketer, what do you like to do?
Ooh, I'm very active. If my friends or family they see this video, they will be like, yeah. So I like to be as active as I can. So my week, it's always after work or before work, depends on the day. I will be doing or either high rocks or CrossFit.
Oh, wow.
CrossFit, probably everyone knows about it, but it's very similar, more cardio involved.
Mhm.
But now it's getting it's getting very popular in the US, Europe. So I'm also taking part of competitions as well. I
Oh,
recently
wow.
did one in Bangkok. Yeah. So yeah, balancing that, just not work. That is my therapy.
Yeah.
Weightlifting or cardio or whatever involved in fitness.
Yeah.
But then also Pilates, and then weekends is more for the mind
Yeah.
and to reset a bit. So that is gonna be hanging out with your friends, going to a village or a city around, explore some other places. But yeah, always out and about. That's me.
That's great. Awesome. And I guess my last question would be that if you could be a superhero from the
Ooh.
comics or any of the superhero movies, what would it be?
I think the one that can fly.
Yeah.
Not sure. Superman. Yeah, like
Super, the Supergirl.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say
You like
Supergirl.
it fits your personality. You're active, and you also
Being
like
all
to
over.
you fly to
Yeah,
different countries. Yeah, very
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I would do that. Yeah, that would be me.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure to be on
Having
again
me.
and talk about international marketing strategy a little more in depth.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe in a
Happy to
couple
do
months,
that.
I'll hit you up again. And if there's
Perfect.
any way we can work together, we love to
Mhm.
expand into international scene. So
Yeah,
our agency is here to help you. Hang
perfect.
on, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop recording. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.